This is Spilled Ink.
I don't know, man. I've just always had a big set of balls on me. I just up and decided to go to fucking Texas, and then I just up and decided to go to Maryland. There's no other explanation for it. If I get an opportunity and it seems bigger than the one I have now, I'll take it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Spilled Ink. I'm here with Jake Karamol, and he's from Northeast Maryland. He's been tattooing professionally for 8 years. Thanks for joining us, Jake.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm actually very excited to have you on the show today because you are the unofficial Tik Tok tattoo guy. Because this is such a new media that's popping out today, if you could let our listeners know how it is you got into tattooing and then how that developed into where you are now.
I was really young when I first kind of got interested in tattooing. It was fresh out of high school. I always used to hang out at the local tattoo shops and, made friends with a lot of the tattooers and hearing some of their stories and just how happy they were with, what they were doing with their lives. It just really inspired me to take my art to the next level. I moved to Texas from Ohio to get an apprenticeship because the area I was in, there just wasn't much available. They weren't really taking anybody. I wasn't going to take no for an answer. So I found a shop 1,500 miles away with a guy there who said he would help teach me. And I moved out there and learned under him for 2 years.
Wow.
And then, within about a year and a half, he kind of let me out and we, kind of let me start tattooing on my own. And eventually we went our own separate ways. And I ended up moving to Maryland because I had a friend here with a job opportunity. When I moved to Maryland, I was on another app called Vine. I don't know if you remember Vine.
Of course.
But I only got about a month with it. I got on for about a month and they shut it down. I've always been into making content, not necessarily for any purpose, just for myself mainly because I think things are funny and I like to have a memory of it. So, we were already kind of making videos before, just not for any purpose.
Right.
And I was drawing one night. I was sitting downstairs in the basement, my little work area, and a TikTok compilation comes up. And I was like, wow, this is basically the same thing. I think I'm going to give this a shot. And the first few months were slow. I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. I wasn't actually doing tattoo content at the time. I kind of wanted to stay away from that, to be honest, because I kind of felt like it was kind of an easy shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out doing other content, just random SNL type stuff. And, I got my feet a little wet and eventually I was like, you know what? I have this idea to start making tattoo content. I think it'd be really funny to kind of make skits where, it shows different people, different clients, different scenarios, different stories of things that I've been through, over 8 years of tattooing. I have so many stories and things happen. So I had all these stories and nothing to do with them. So it kind of hit me that maybe I should start making videos about these stories, or at least, based on the stories and things that have happened. And a lot of it, if you watch, it happens in pretty much every tattoo shop across America.
Yes, that's why I love your content.
Pretty much any tattoo artist that goes to my page, the first thing they say is, why is this so relatable?
It's true, man. Your channel is actually why I made this podcast. It's very similar because I want people to get the artist perspective of the client, which will help the client understand the process better to make it easier for the artist almost in a funny way.
Exactly. And the way I kind of saw it, the more it became a thing, the more the growth came. I felt like I was actually really informing some of these young kids who are going to become clients.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them that might not know these things, they might not understand how it works, but might be interested in getting tattooed in the future. So to me, it seemed like an opportunity to educate a bunch of unknowing people that are going to become the clients for us in the near future.
Exactly.
And I felt like that's very important. I feel like what I'm doing is more than just getting a laugh. It kind of started to become very clear that, even though I was just kind of doing it for fun, it became a little bit something more. So as the time went on, it was like, well, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This makes sense. And then I would say 4 or 5 months into TikTok contacted me and set me up with a manager to help my growth on the app.
Nice.
And they got me verified and have been sending me to all kinds of opportunities, like going to football games, concerts, meeting up with famous people, that type of thing.
I saw you recently at the Jet game.
It's crazy, man. I'm not going to lie, TikTok has completely changed my life.
Very cool. Very cool. And like I said, it's such a new media that people really don't fully understand it yet. But it's going to age up eventually once everyone starts getting in. But right now, it's very young.
Yeah, and I see a lot of tattooers on there now, but they are all doing the same thing. They're all posting their work. The problem with posting their work on TikTok is nobody gives a shit. I don't know if I can cuss or anything.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Nobody seems to give a shit. They don't care how good you are. They want to see if you're funny.
Right.
And the reason why I went on TikTok is because I already have an Instagram. I got to be so professional on there. I can't be stupid on there. I can't be an idiot or like say things that aren't professional in a manner. TikTok was a way to be, kind of a goofball.
Yeah, I
Get
agree.
some of those like random things out that I feel or like think are funny.
Your videos are hilarious. Do you have a favorite one, by the way?
A favorite one, probably when I had the client ask for something to knock him out. If I jokingly said like, man, if only I had something to knock me out, and then I sucker punch him. I think that's probably my favorite one.
Is it hard for you guys to make the content? Or, I mean, I know you guys are just like hanging out at the shop. You have some downtime.
It's kind of like I have a whole notebook in my phone. Anywhere I go, if I have an idea pop up or if I'm in the shop and something happens, I write it down. I write that idea down, and then when it comes to film day, I usually film Sunday, Monday, so that way I'm not doing it during shop hours.
Right.
Like my shop hours. And I'll write out a script. I have a pretty basic setup, 6 frames, about 2 seconds per frame.
Right.
So 3 dialogues per person, give or take. Sometimes I'll extend it to 7 or 8, but I keep it a pretty basic setup so that way, people can read all the way through, get the gist of the video and possibly play it back if it's not too long.
Very cool. And now are your buddies, the guys who work at the shop with you, the guys who are in the videos?
Yeah, we're all kind of like in it together.
I always think it's fun, like getting the creative process behind the actual content.
It's funny because like you almost have to get over that. Like the phone will kind of hold you back. Like you can be so funny, and then as soon as the phone comes out, it's like people shell up.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know how to be funny anymore. It's not organic anymore, and I think that's the biggest hump that everybody tries to get over on TikTok is. You got to get over that fear of the camera being out. Like, you just got to be yourself. You got to make the content that makes you happy. Or, people spend too much time trying to make the stuff that someone else has already made that they lose track of themselves and they lose focus on making videos that express them.
Well, I think you have it down, man. Like you said, your content's so relatable. It's almost refreshing because you always wonder, like, do other people realize that this is happening? Or
I think for me, I'm still kind of like I'm not a social media guy at all. Like, this is all super new to me. I'm kind of learning with TikTok. Like, I have Instagram, I post my work, but I'm real hard on myself a lot of the time with my work. A lot of the time I don't want to post my work because I just feel like I could have done better. Or I'm my biggest critic. I don't really care so much about what anybody else thinks. I care more about what I think.
Of course.
With the videos, it's nice because the TikTok fame, whatever you want to call it, I don't have time to sit and think about it in my day. Like I don't have time to sit and think about what I'm actually doing.
Right.
Like every once in a while I will, and I'll stand back and I'll appreciate the big picture and kind of, because it's weird, man. It's weird because I feel like after, it was like overnight, all of a sudden it was like this weird fame hit and, I can't go anywhere. People are stopping you, taking pictures, and it's a lot, man. It's crazy. And to go from, like I said, just kind of a nobody tattooer to the TikTok tattoo guy overnight. I wasn't really expecting it. I didn't really expect it at all. It was kind of more just like, I want to have some fun and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. How is that for you? How's that like transition?
I'd say I'm still kind of in denial. If we're going to talk honest here, I'd say I'm still in denial about it. Like I try to tell myself like, it's not real. Like you're only famous to people on TikTok. Like it doesn't really matter in the long run. So like I kind of like I'll beat it down. I don't like sit there and try to like build it up like it's this thing, But then things happen where people come into the shop and they tell you how far they came just to see you and how much they love what you're doing, and people saying that you changed their lives with their videos and that they've been through dark times and you've been the light for them. Like there's so much that has happened, like all the fan mail.
That's so cool.
All the people telling me how they feel about us. Like it's a lot. It's a lot to try to like process, along with having a tattoo career.
Right. That's so cool, though. I mean, I think it's just getting even bigger.
I think so too, and I think I want to keep kind of being in denial about it, so that way, I just don't want to ever lose my head.
Right.
Because there's a lot of these users on here, and I think they're a good example of what not to do. They get this fame, and they kind of lose it, and they treat their fans like trash. They start posting trash content because they just don't care anymore because they already got what they wanted. It's kind of like tattooing. As soon as sometimes when those tattooers get big, yeah, they're good, but they lose their head and they lose who they were, and the money gets to them, and the fame, and everybody telling you that you're cool, and they become an asshole. I've seen it happen to many tattooers. I've seen it happen to many people. Just period. But tattooers in general, because I feel like we're put on a pedestal sometimes because of what we do. So, people will look at you a different way than they will just as somebody who works at fucking Walmart.
Of course.
They'll treat you differently. It's the same concept, when you're a content creator and a popular one, people treat you a certain type of way. And I think that's why I'm kind of like, I like to stay away from it.
That's cool, man. Yeah, there's a lot of ego in this business.
I just like to post and go. I post my video, and I try not to read the comments. I try not to look at like my analytics. I try not to look at like my followers. I try not to look at any of that stuff because it's just going to kind of twist your head all up.
Yeah, just keep your head down and keep doing what you're doing. That's really what it is.
Yeah, just stay humble about it. Just like tattooing, know my place. I'm not out here trying to say I'm the best in the world at anything. I'm just here to have a good time and grow just like anybody else.
Absolutely. We'll transition into tattooing a little bit from here, but obviously you have stories galore that you post about. Do you have one in particular that you usually tell, not to a client, but like to other tattooers that's your most outrageous?
I would tell the one that's probably like the worst client that I've ever had.
Let's hear it.
It's funny because I've actually never touched this topic on TikTok. So I had this lady who she was referred to me by a mutual friend, not like a really good friend, but a mutual friend.
Mm-hmm.
And my first meeting of her, she was kind of like, she was just very bold. She was very out there. She was very like not afraid to say, like she didn't have a filter.
Okay. So
right off the bat, I could kind of tell that this wasn't going to be a good idea. But her tattoo idea was tight, and I was really excited to do it. The lion was like a lion head with a bunch of flowers. I mean, I was instantly hooked on the idea because it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I honestly probably shouldn't have taken the tattoo because she just wanted to control every single aspect. Which, I mean, we get that a lot in tattooing, but not to this extent to where just every single thing was in her control. And she had no art background. She had really no understanding of what was going on.
Those are usually
so
the ones.
Trying to level with her was it was a pain in the ass. It took weeks till after the appointment. So her appointment was booked. She showed up on the day, saw the drawing, and then wanted to change everything. So I said, fine. So it took us weeks to actually get the drawing to where she wanted.
Wow.
So we get there, we get the stencil on, everything's great. Right before we start, she video chats some lady. And this lady's like on the phone looking at a upside down version of this lion. And apparently it's her best friend. She goes, I just don't like it. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck. I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm just like so over it. So she's like talking back and forth with her, like I'm not sitting there. And they're both like, yeah, you know what? It just doesn't look right. And all I want to say is like, you guys are looking at this upside down. Like both of you are looking at this upside down. Me and her have looked at this design for weeks, right side up. I don't know where this is coming from.
Right.
Well, finally, I get her off the phone and I tell her, look, let's just scratch it. Let's wait a week. We'll come back. And if you want to get it, you want to get it. Well, finally, she comes back a week later. We start the tattoo. She's happy with it. And then she calls a friend. Everything's going great. She calls her friend. Her friend's sitting there saying, it's too dark. It's too dark. I hadn't even gone in with anything really yet.
Okay.
I was just lightly starting to kind of, pluck away.
Okay.
So I'm frustrated at this point. I'm like, oh my God, I can't handle this anymore. Like, this is just way too much. So I tell her, look, I'm going to need you to put the phone down. And I'm going to have to, like basically either ask you to do that or I'm going to stop doing the tattoo. Well, she was confused as to why I was asking her to put the phone down.
Mm-hmm.
So after 25, 30 minutes of explaining it, she finally puts the phone down. We finished the tattoo. Well, she comes back and she's super happy with the tattoo, super happy with it. But I had to calmly ask her, I was like, look, I did not enjoy your tattoo. I didn't have fun doing your tattoo. I don't think that we're a good fit. I said, I think you're an okay person. I don't dislike you, but I just can't work on you because if it's not fun for me, I shouldn't be doing it. Fair enough.
Right.
And, she was very confused. She had no idea what I was talking about. But finally, she's like, okay, I understand, yada, yada. So she leaves. A week later, she calls me and says, hey, so I have my next tattoo idea. I literally am shocked. Like I've never experienced anybody who just didn't understand.
So what'd you say when she came in the second time?
She didn't come in the second time. I told her, when she texted me for her new idea, I was like, hey, I don't want a tattoo. Like I hate that it sounds so brash, but I mean, like I said, it's not worth doing if you're not enjoying doing it. And when you get somebody that's that difficult, and I'm sure anybody in any job can relate, but the difference between our job and theirs is I can tell somebody no. And here's the thing is I gave her a shot. I knew at the beginning she was going to be kind of a handful, but I really liked her tattoo idea and it did come out great. And realistically, I'm still happy that I did the tattoo, but it sucks that it had to be that way.
Mm.
What sucked even more is that she had other tattoos, but none of them were professional.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't where she came up with this controlling aspect. The only thing that I could fathom was that she had no control over any of these tattoos. So when she finally was going to a professional and was paying big money for a tattoo, she wanted to have touch in everything.
Yeah, it's almost like a bad boyfriend.
Exactly. But I haven't seen her since. And that's always my go-to one because I just feel like my level of frustration, and I'm very patient. I can usually work with most people, even if they give me a hard time. I can usually work with most people. I'll scratch a complete drawing and redraw it right in front of I'm pretty easy to work with. But that woman will forever haunt my tattoo nightmares.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I've just had something recently like that happened to me where I had a whole design ready. It was this nice little thing that would fit well on this girl's neck. And she's on the phone with her friend sending her pictures. And then she's like, oh, could we tweak this? And she's telling me what her friend is telling her about the tattoo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your friend's not even here and you're getting the tattoo.
Yep.
Just work with me. And then I ended up changing everything she wanted. And then she wanted to scrap the whole thing. And we ended up doing something else.
And you know what's crazy? People don't believe those are real. Those stories.
Yeah.
People don't believe, and even the ones on TikTok, they don't believe that stuff happened.
It's so hard to explain to somebody like that, but they're like, oh, people like that don't exist. And like, no, they do.
They do.
Yeah. 99 out of 100 is perfect, but that one person will get you.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing, is there's got to be a balance. And I say this too. I don't expect every client to be amazing and let me do exactly what I want to do. And yeah, I know, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this industry for, not a super, super long time, but long enough to know sometimes you got to bite your tongue. Sometimes you got to do something that, you might not be particularly excited about. But at the end of the day, we are lucky to do this job. We are blessed to have the freedoms that we do. We can do a lot of things, and we're very free in our art and in our daily expression to wake up and smile every day, where there are people who go to work and hate every aspect of their job. So to complain about it, for me, it's kind of hard to want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like how the TikToks come out, because a bad experience is more funny than a good one.
Absolutely. And it's all about the stories too. I mean, I could have a bad day, but I tell that story to anyone who'll listen.
Yep.
And I think it's funny too.
It is funny. I mean, here's the thing is, I can almost remember going into a tattoo shop and getting my first tattoo, and the nerves, and like these big tattoo guys, and they all know everything, and it's like a nerve-wracking thing. So like there are times where I can stand back and like, I can remember like, man, like I was that nervous client too. So sometimes you can almost like remember that too, so you don't hold it against them, because we all have that fight at our first tattoo.
Of course.
A tattoo shop is a different perspective when you're working in one, as opposed to getting a tattoo in one.
Right. Yeah, I always say this too. We are so close to it that we forget what it is like to walk in and not know anybody or not know a design, and like putting complete trust in something that's pretty permanent.
Yeah, and because it's so everyday to us, we forget like their experience is like a huge deal to them,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why we have a lot of tattooers who just kind of like don't give a fuck. They're just kind of like putting it on and go, put it on and go. Like,
Yep.
You make a lot of money doing that, but it's the experience, man. Like getting to know somebody. Like the one thing I can say about tattooing for me that has been the best is my clients, the ones that I have been so lucky to meet. I feel like I'm the lucky one. They're not the lucky ones. They treat me so well.
Right.
And it's like, I wouldn't give that up for the world, like,
of course,
we have such a good time, and it's almost like we're not working. Like we're in this because we have separate booths that are like closed off. Like we have our own little TVs and stuff. So it like feels like I'm at home, like,
right.
It feels like I'm just sitting there painting and someone's sitting there watching me paint, and we talk about it and we have a good time and we joke around, we laugh, we watch movies.
That's the best.
There's a vibe. There's just, it's a special moment.
And you call that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really work, It's really just being free every day, and it's a lifestyle. And some people understand it, some people don't. Some people have it and take advantage of it, and some people, try to wake up every day and appreciate that.
Exactly. So, do you still take walk-ins at this point in your career?
Yeah, you know what? I do, and I have a wacky system with it. I'm not going to lie. You really just got to catch me at the right moment.
Okay.
Just like if my client's not there yet, or like they had to push back an hour, or if they just didn't show up, like it just has to align that way. I stay pretty decently booked up during the year, about 2 months in advance, but I don't really like to book too far, just in case like something, emergency happens. I might have to like go somewhere.
Yeah, you never know.
You just never know. And I don't want to break someone's heart.
Yeah.
And tell them like, oh, I have to cancel your appointment. So I usually I'll book 2 months out, and then like once I'm like halfway through the first month or about the end of the first month, I'll book the next month. I'll start booking March. And
that makes sense.
At the end of February, I'll start booking April.
That makes sense. I don't know how these guys book like 2 years in advance.
I can't. No, I mean,
like shit happens.
It would be nice. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say it wouldn't be nice to look at your book and be like, damn, 2 years. Like, I'm gonna be tattooing these motherfuckers 2 years straight. But at the same time, like 2 months is pretty good for me. Like, and then I can sneak some people in here and there. And I literally live right next to the shop.
Oh, nice.
So I can just literally I could be there in 2 seconds.
Is there any type of tattoo that you see in your area most often from walk-ins? Here it's an Italian neighborhood, so I get a lot of religious pieces walking in.
The area that we're in is such a strange area because it's a little bit of everything. Like, I feel like every day I'm doing something different. Like, I don't know. 'Cause you see more in our shop walking in for like pieces of art. We don't see too much of like a lot of religious stuff.
Yeah.
We got one guy who does the religious stuff, but like he's had the clientele for it. So it's,
right.
I don't know. We're just in such a weird spot. We're not like in a big city. We're like in kind of a small town.
Yeah, Northeast Maryland.
And there aren't many good shops around. Like there are some big hitters, like, maybe within an hour.
You're in a sweet spot then. You got a nice setup.
I think it's a really good spot because it's not watered down.
I actually wanted to circle back to that because you said you're originally from Ohio.
Yeah.
How did you make that move so young? I feel like me even traveling now is like I'm 30. I feel like traveling now is tough.
I don't know, man. I've just always had a big set of balls on me. I don't know. Like, I just up and decided to go to fucking Texas. And then I just up and decided to go to Maryland. There's no other explanation for it. Really, like, I don't know. Like, if I get an opportunity and it seems bigger than the one I have now, I'll take it. I got one life, like.
Yeah. I mean, look, you took the risk. Look where it got you. You're starting to blow up on the ground floor of something that I think is going to be huge.
And like I said, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. It feels strange. And here's the thing is, I don't know how other tattooers in my community think about it. because it's kind of a silly thing. Like,
you'll always get those old school guys who will like start shitting on it because, it wasn't around when they were around. And it's almost like a quote unquote cop out, which I don't believe. Like everything's always changing. Everything's always evolving, evolve or die. That's pretty much it. And your work will speak for itself.
I feel like eventually someone was going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm a fucking goofy dude. And it made sense. It all made sense. I love tattooing. I like making videos. So that's what I do.
Is there one that you remember in particular that was like your most challenging?
Most challenging video or most challenging tattoo?
Both.
My most challenging tattoo, man. Oh my God. I did this. Have you ever seen Prometheus?
No.
Okay. Well, it's basically like an otherworldly theory, like engineers created us and they structured our DNA. Otherwise,
okay.
They have what are called engineers. Well, I did a portrait of one and their skin is completely white.
Damn.
I was just sweating that entire tattoo. I have it on my Instagram. It's a healed version of it because the first version, like, I went a little dark, but it healed fantastic. Like,
okay.
So I posted the healed version, but I'll tell you what, man. Like, I have never doubted myself more, questioned myself more, sweated that much in one entire tattoo.
Was that your first crack at a portrait?
Yes and no. Like, I can do like horror portraits. Like, I've done like black and gray realism type stuff. Like, I've done like a couple color realism portraits. Like, I did Beetlejuice. It wasn't like amazing. Like, it wasn't fucking top tier, but I mean, like, I feel like I did well for like the first time going at it. But it was not like my first crack. Mm-hmm. But for an image, one that was very near and dear to me, it's from one of my favorite movies, and two, the fact that their skin is like pale white. So like to get that look that of how they actually look in the movie was very difficult. And I held myself to a real high standard on it because I'm such a big fan of the movie, because I know how they look, that tattoo really humbled me because I remembered like, hey man, like, even if you're scared of something, like, it's always good to step out of your boundaries, but you always got to remember not to take it too far.
Of course.
Tattooing's such a funny thing. Like, you could have it one day and then not have it. You could, bite off more than you could chew.
That's true. I got to check out that post now on Instagram. I want to see what.
Yeah. And I think it was good that I posted the healed version because the healed tattoo tells a way different story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get some clients that are like, oh, this is way too dark, but like you get them back for the next session, you're like, oh, it healed beautiful.
Yeah, like I'll send you the first one. Like you'll be surprised how dark it looked, and then when it healed up, like I actually just switched up my black and gray ink. I wish I could remember the guy's name. His name is Ralph, and it starts with an N. But he does amazing portraits, and he has this set. And I bought the set, and I'll tell you what, it changed my tattooing, black and gray wise.
Really?
Yeah, it changed everything for me.
Yeah, send that over to me too. I'd like to try it out.
Yeah, I'll send you that to the message and the ink I use too, because man, that shit blows my mind. It is almost like cheating.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, but if you look at this guy's portraits, it just seems like it's printed like
a photo. It's
so perfect, and there's no editing. Like his photos are, they're solid.
I love those. And you get like you see the smooth blends. And it's just like, how the fuck did this guy do this?
It makes me feel stupid, to be honest. Like sometimes when I look at tattoos like that, I'm like, do I even know what the fuck I'm doing? Like I've been doing this 8 years. Do I even know what the fuck is going on?
It's so true though.
Because I was always told, you don't compare yourself to people below you and make yourself feel good. You compare yourself to the best, and that's where you'll see where you're at.
Exactly.
The second you start thinking that you're the shit and that you're the best, like you're gonna lose it.
And now you got all these guys on Instagram to compare to, and you're like, fuck, you can't. You just got to go do it and move on.
Fuck, dude, yeah. And I've been to conventions and I've met a lot of them. Like I did the convention circuit for a little bit and made a lot of friends. And like, I'm just a homebody, man. I like being at my shop, chilling, making tatties. Like the convention is cool. Like I'll be doing the convention this year, one because of TikTok, and two because I think that the booth will be twice as busy now than it's ever been.
Yeah. Because the first couple, you're losing money on the convention.
Yeah, and like I said, we're going to do like a whole TikTok booth. Like I think, honestly, our booth is going to be popping. I think we're going to be fucking slamming it out. I think a lot of people from TikTok will be there and be wanting to get tattooed by us.
I agree. Which one you heading to?
I think Baltimore is the best bet.
Are you going to come to New York in the summer? The Empire State?
Dude, I would actually like that. I've been talking about it for a minute. I got a few friends that are also tattooers from TikTok up in New York. Like, I've got a lot of shit, man. I don't even know. Like, there's so much shit that's going to happen this year. Like, I'm going to be in LA soon. Like, I'm not even fucking sure when, but I got to go to LA and go to the TikTok headquarters. I got to go to a couple different shops out there to find guest spots for when I go out there. I'd love to come to New York. I was just there for the Jets game, but that's not even in New York.
Yeah, it's in Jersey. But yeah, let me know. I'm trying to make my way over there too. Like you said, you're my first interview 2020, so it could only go up from here.
Hell yeah, man. I'm glad to be your first interview. And sorry about the scheduling mix up. Like I said, with running tattoos and live streams and trying to answer back fans. Like, dude, my phone just, I turn all my notifications off at this point. Like,
I understand the life, bro. I understand the life. It's just all booking all the time.
Yep, and just gone. And honestly, man, I don't party. I don't go out. I don't do anything. I'm a hermit. Like, really, like, I live right next to the shop. Like, it's very rare to catch me out. Like, honestly, without TikTok, I probably wouldn't even go out at all. Like, the fact that they're sending me out to do this shit, honestly, is like a big sign to me. Like, hey, man, go experience the world. Like, all you do is work.
They send you a manager, and then the manager's like, okay, you go here, go here.
So my manager hit me up and said that they were doing a promotion with the NFL, and that it was a possibility to get me there. I honestly was like, the way I look, I figured, they're not going to want the guy with tattoos on their face to be out there, on the field and shit.
Right.
So I just pushed it off. I didn't even, I half read the email and didn't think about it. He called me, he texted me and said, hey man, they picked you, like they specifically want you to come. And this was a day before the event.
Wow.
So I was like, oh shit. Well, like if they asked for me specifically, like I feel like an asshole if I don't go.
Okay.
Like the NFL was like, hey, we want you to come enjoy the game and make a video. Like, okay, like when the fuck is the NFL ever going to contact anybody and say that?
Yeah.
So we went, and man, it was amazing. It was fantastic. They treated us like fucking movie stars. There were movie stars in the box. There was all kinds of celebrities just walking around, and we got fucking free food and free drinks, which I didn't drink, but I ate all the free hot dogs I could eat.
That's awesome. And you're just like, yeah, I'm just being a clown on social media.
Yeah. They sent me to, I don't know if you know who Youngblood is. I didn't really know who he was when they sent me, but he's a big musician, been all over MTV, and is huge. They sent us there to meet up with him and make videos. And
that's so awesome. That's so awesome.
And wild.
Everyone has told you, like, oh yeah, you being goofy is not going to lead to anything. Look where you are now.
Well, do you guys think they laughed at Instagram? They laughed at Facebook? I mean, eventually it's kind of going to be the next thing.
Of course. I don't know if you follow Gary Vee or those motivational speakers.
Oh, yeah. No, I follow Gary.
Yeah. He's like a huge TikTok advocate.
Yeah, no, he sees the potential.
Yeah.
And I feel like we started at such a perfect time, too, because it was like the first 6 months after Musical.ly kind of turned over. So, like, there was still like this transition period where nobody really knew what the fuck was going on or what to post. Like, people were just mostly posting like lip syncs and dances. And so, like, the tattoo stuff stood out so much because it was just anything else, anybody else, was posted.
Yeah, it's about that time where Instagram, I think, is tailing off.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that a lot.
What was your most difficult video to make so far?
I made one about when I went into a shop in Ohio, and they basically told me that my art wasn't good enough, that I would never tattoo professionally, and I needed to get the fuck out.
Oh, shit.
And, when I thought about making the video, I didn't really think it would like hit me hard. Mm-hmm. But like standing there making it and then showing the end where I'm tattooing and just having a great time, like watching the video afterwards, like it hit me real hard, man. Like it was just, to see something from the outside, to see that I was told that I would never make it, and to not listen to any of that and to take it in stride, like. To see me actually push through it and to move across the country to prove somebody wrong, it really hit me hard, like my dedication to this, right. Like, cause like I said, you don't think about those little things. You don't put in perspective every day you go to work, but what it really means, Mm-hmm. So I think for me, making that video was really hard just because it meant so much. And I don't think people really understood how much that video really meant because of how real it really was.
Right.
You know, people, you know, they just kind of see the video and they don't really read between the lines of everything. So that was probably my hardest one to make, just to get that emotion out there of what, you know, it's not a joke. Like, it is rough out there. And people are cutthroat in our industry. That's not like any other industry there is out there. People, you know, tattooers are gnarly, man. Like, you gotta have balls.
You gotta have the grit. You gotta have the drive, because there's, like you said, there's always a next best person that you gotta contend with. So you gotta just keep pushing it.
I think for me, leaving and going and taking that chance was like, if I could move to a place where I didn't know anybody or anything or have any connections to save my ass, and I can make it happen, then this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and you're doing it well. And you're doing it fucking really well. Good for you, bro. Good for you.
Just tattooing, man. Like, it saved my life, because I used to get in trouble and shit, man. I used to fuck around. So, like, tattooing really, like, saved my life. Like, I feel like without it, I really couldn't tell you where I'd be.
That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. I'm happy for the success that you're getting, because, like you said, you're just a real dude. And it's really cool to see that come out in your videos and your content and your work. Yeah,
man. I try to put it out there. Like, you know, either like me or you don't. And that actually seems to be how it is, like, in tattooing and, like, even on the TikTok app. You either really, really like me, or you just, like, fuck that guy. Which I could care less either way. Like I said, I'm having fun.
Yeah,
bro.
just do you.
I ain't worried about nothing but having fun. Like, everything else will come. You know, like, having a positive attitude, even in the dark times, is what's going to bring all the good stuff to you. You know, and I learned a long time ago, karma's real. Mm-hmm. You know, I stopped fucking around and doing things that were going to get me in trouble, and my life changed around it. You know, good things happen.
So, all right, we're about wrapping it up. I got a last question for you. Is there anything that you're promoting right now that you want people to know about?
So I'm going to be starting working on my YouTube channel. That'll be kind of like coming up soon. We've hired a videographer onto the team to kind of start making some moves a little bit in that direction. But I mean, mainly the TikTok will be there. My merch just dropped, so my merch is in my Instagram bio and my TikTok bio. Other than that, man, I really only got one sponsor right now, which is Queen's Head Preserve, and they've been awesome to me, making sure that I have, you know, super tight clothes to rock in the videos. The
clothes are awesome.
Yeah, their shirts are sick, man. I definitely appreciate them for hooking me up. And I appreciate you for having me on the show, man. Thank you so much for thinking of me.
I appreciate you for taking the time, bro. All right, you can find Jake at Jake Karamol on TikTok and Jake Karamol Tattooer on Instagram. Thanks, Jake.
Not a problem, man. Take it easy.
Have a good day, brother. That's it for this week's episode with Jake Karamol. You can find out more about Jake by following him at Jake Karamol on TikTok and Instagram. Join us next week when I speak with tattoo artist Laura Bechet from Brooklyn, New York. And we talk about how Instagram changed her life. So what was your apprenticeship like? Did an artist just like your work and they approached you?
I can thank Instagram for that, actually. I was posting my paintings online and I could sell them on Instagram occasionally. And I was approached by a guy that was just tattooing by himself in a small shop in Manhattan. And he made it really appealing.
And she talks about the experience of running a shop with her wife and the value of making a client feel at home.
It's 5 years, but it seems like much longer than that. So much has happened. You know, as individual artists, how we've grown, and us as a couple, and to have these people probably find something similar when you open your shop. It feels like people are now coming into our home.
Listen, your art can only take you so far. A lot of people come for the experience. They won't remember everything you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah,
you know, at the end of the
so
day.
Important.
Spilled Ink is produced by Fulton Street Music Group. Our producers are Cleo Kolitsopoulos and Alex Fulton. Our music is by Cat Blaster. I'm your host, Mike Maldonado. Follow us on Instagram at Spilled Ink Official.